Hello, and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 140th day of the 6th year, first video and only video, I think. Wood. This is a pleasant subject for me to deal with. I really like to work with wood. And today, I won't be so long as I was yesterday. Charred timbers. I want to show you some charred timbers that I was given. And this is a lot of wood. I'll go outside after this and then put it on as a second shot. Now's the time where I need to move them around and maybe even stack them a little bit or something, because last year the weeds grew up around them so that you couldn't even get them out of the ground. Right now is a good time, and I'll start doing that. You'll see them. There's a lot. What happened was the neighbor's barn burned. It was tragic. There were I think 3 steers that were killed in the process. It burned to the ground. The fire company got there. You know, they really couldn't do anything. They slowed it up, but it was a mess. And if you want to see the mess, it's depressing. But I go over there the day after and walk around a little bit. This is in the third year, 193rd videos day, second video. And you can just see how hopeless it was, discouraging. The insurance that he had on it couldn't touch. Built replacing it. He'll build something else eventually, but anyway, so it's tragic. But anyway, he and his son had to clean it up, and they got their equipment in there, and they were cleaning it up. And at one point, I drove by and I saw there was a pickup truck or a dump truck they had that was completely filled with wood, burnt wood. And I stopped, I think it was, and I said, "What are you going to do with that?" And he said, "Well, he knew a guy that would take it and use it as firewood. He could take it over there and dump it." And I said, "Whoa, can I have that?" And they said, "Yeah, you can have it." And I think it was 3 dump truck loads that he brought it back and dumped it out on the ground and gave it to me. And I wrote here, extreme patina. Yeah, it's extreme. So you see, the timbers, they only burn about that far in, a timber. The timbers are actually still completely usable. The joinery is can't really be used anymore. I don't imagine. I still need to sort it all out. But as timbers, sure. And I was thinking about this, that in those barns, those Pennsylvania bank barns, those timbers, they weren't fastened. I said I have a fastener phobia. The logs for the barn floor were just laid there. They didn't need to be fastened. They were just laid from one wall to the other. And when the barn burned and they collapsed, of course, they fell in. And they were covered with the smoldering fire. You can't really even see much of the timbers if you look at that video. I'll put it on as a link in the description. But anyway, the beams, the posts, to some extent, of course, the posts were up in the air, and they burnt more extremely. But the beams that fell, there were 2 buildings that burnt, actually. There was a smaller one, I think it was a hog pen, and it had a plank floor. Well, it burned too, but only the surface of it, because it was laying on the floor. And these are planks. These are 2 inches, and I think they're oak. They might be chestnut, but I think they're oak. Oh boy, too good. And if you roll them over, the underside looks perfect, and the charge on the bottom. Those planks, I've used almost all of them, or have a use for almost every single one of them that came. Another man and I had to sort through the stuff. Find the beams, find the posts, free up the planks that could be usable first. There was a little bit of siding left, which I was able to use, not very much, because of course the siding is thin, and it's pine mostly, and it burnt real quick. And the rafters, being up high in the air, they burn up real quick, so they're gone. But this is a lot of wood, as you're going to see. Charred timbers. Oh, I also wanted to say something sort of in retrospect. I dissed the DIY, do-it-yourself channel for shows like Tiny House Nation and stuff. And I think I mentioned Barnwood Builders. There's something to be said for that show. I sort of take that back. It's lovely to save those buildings. I'd prefer that they were saved where they are and fixed up. And I really don't like to see it when all the joinery is disturbed and it's cut up and stuff. But still, that they are doing a worthy thing, absolutely, in saving those buildings, the wood, and using it elsewhere. Yeah. So there was something else I was going to say about that. Oh, I know what it was. Log buildings. There was a time for them here in the United States, but I actually think now a better kind of building is and always was, I think, is timber framing. With instead of being solid logs the whole way around, you've got your infill, your joinery, and then your wattles, and then the dot. But anyway, I want to sort of apologize when now I don't know. I didn't look to see who advertises it, and they do use pretty big equipment, but of course I don't always approve of the way they take things down, or what they don't save, but by and large I approve of that. All right, I'm going to go outside, and then I'll put this together and put it on. Bye for now. What a lovely day. We're going to go up there in just a bit, but anyway, I want to show you these timbers. There's the remains of a stair. You know, clearly, here's the remains of a raft. Matter of fact, these are the remains of rafters, mostly, what you see right there. Here's what happened to the siding, what survived. There's more of that stair. You can, well, I'm not sure about that, but anyway, that's what happened to the siding. You know, on the one side you'd think, oh, it's okay, but the beams for the most part are just charred in about a ½ inch. I mean, there's a tenon that's left. I have grave doubts that I can save any of the joinery, but I don't know, maybe I can. You can see how this was overgrown with weeds by summer and fall. There were actually 2 buildings that had timber framing in them that ended up getting destroyed. And when he brought them in the dump truck, I asked him if he'd dump them separately, because he already had it sort of separated. Now some of this, no doubt, will just be firewood, but most of it, no. Here's a plank that somehow, well, I'm not sure what that was. But anyway, these are the beautiful timbers. It may be chestnut. It's either oak or chestnut. I'll have to saw into them and see how heavy they are and stuff to be able to tell. All that you're looking at really is usable. Now, I didn't mention another building in that last video, but it's here too. It was destined to be burned. It was all piled together, ready to have the match touched to it. But a guy, I said, whoa, can I have that? And he actually used his front loader to pick it up and help me sort it out. These are the, it was not burnt. It was a blacksmith shop and other kinds of shops as well. These are the braces. So this is sort of going beyond what's scored. I mean what's charred. Somewhere in here. Oh, there they are. Those are the rollers for where, you know, that would be the journal, the wooden journal, and the bearings are in here somewhere. There's a bearing. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll reconstruct it, and I'm going to reconstruct it, I think, pretty much the size that it was when I can tell. But I had to, you know, I really do have to get this stuff before the grass gets a hold of it again. Have to get it up out of the ground and sort it out, but I can do that now. Now, I started to move the timbers over here, some of them. They're heavy though, and it's swampy over there in the extension to the Impossible Garden. So it just wasn't that easy, but I started to lay them out and sort them out as I went. I'll go up there now and maybe explain a little bit better what I have in mind. No, before I go up there, this is out of that blacksmith shop, and you can tell that this is a plate. You can tell that this is where the rafters came down, and I guess you can't see it right now, but there's a notch there, so you can even tell how the rafter went from it. So I thought I'd show you that too. I mean, little signs like that can show how the building was and how it should be put back together. All right, now I think we're going up there. That's where I was, and I'm stopping midway. There's a charred timbers that I started to align. This is a wheel pit that I had my neighbor with his little backhoe dig to prepare for a fairly large water wheel. And the wheel pit will empty out two ways. One way is there, the other way is there, and it'll go on down to power another wheel. So I just thought oh, and a reason to stop here in the light of those timbers is I'll use those timbers underneath the building that's going to go with this water wheel will have on top of it a windmill. And the water supply, give you an idea how high it'll come from there. So it'll probably be 15 feet, maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 feet high. All right, finally, I think now we'll go up there. Here's probably where you can best see what I have in mind. That fall of water will go the whole way down, ultimately past those timbers that are aligned. But it'll drop twice. Well, in one case it'll just draw once, but that'll be in a wooden pipe. More about that later. It's springtime. It's not spring yet, it's almost spring. It's just late February. Water's coming out of the mountain, and this water I'm trying to use as much as I can. That's a little water wheel that I had spinning as a toy, and I'll get it spinning again. It would take 15 minutes on that. Down there, I want to try to flood that garden in order to ditch it. But anyway, that's not my subject. My subject is the timbers. And having zoomed, there's some that are ready to carry. I'm going to call it Fraser Mill, because the barn that burnt belonged to the Fraser family, and they're the ones that gave me the timbers. All right, bye for now.